Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11th episode of Blackhawks Banter presented by the Hockey Writers. If you're new, welcome. We come here and discuss everything Blackhawks related at 7 p.m. Central right here on the Hockey Writers YouTube and Facebook Live. So make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any show. And I am your host tonight, Brooke LoFurno, and I am here with my fellow Blackhawks team at the Hockey Writers. So I'm going to introduce you to the family. So I got my twin sister, Gail Kauchak. Hi, Gail.
Hi.
And I got my Italian twin brothers, Greg Boysen and Shaun Filippelli. Hi, guys.
Hello.
So obviously tonight's not going to be very, I don't know the word, positive.
Why not?
I'm sorry about that. But we have a lot to discuss, so I'm just going to get right into it. So we have to talk about the first three games, even though there's not really much to say about that. But it's not been pretty at all, to pardon my French. But we had a 5-1 loss against Tampa in the first game, a 5-2 loss to Tampa in the second game, and then another 5-2 loss against Florida. And I mean, the Tampa was expected because they're the reigning Stanley Cup champions. But the Panthers, I thought maybe it would be better, and we still gave up 5 goals. So my question to you guys is that we had goalie changes and line changes, and we had the same result. So, frankly, do you think we will get better from what we have just seen or what we have already seen? Shaun, I'm going to start with you.
Can it get any worse?
No, it could. It could always get worse.
Yeah, I mean, it could, but I don't think we'll be any less, disappointed. They've looked slow and sluggish and completely amateur. Obviously, this is a young team, but even the veterans out there have looked out of place, out of sorts, so to speak. There have been glimpses of some positives in some of these games, but just too few and far in between here. They just have not been able to sustain any pressure, and it's been ugly. It's been ugly hockey to watch, and frankly, I'm sure it's ugly hockey to play. As a unit, there's just a lack of cohesion. They're a mess on defense, and obviously goaltending has struggled. It's not, we can't blame it on the goalies, clearly, but as collectively, they haven't gotten the job done, clearly. And I mean, with that said, there have been some slight improvements. So I'm trying to grab some glimmer of hope here where we've seen a little bit of cohesion build between, Kane and DeBrincat are kind of getting back there. Strome is getting a few chances. And I mean, prospects like Suter are showing up and showing what they can do. So there's a few positives, but again, I don't see how it can get any worse in my opinion. So.
Gail?
All right, let's be fair here. They played the Lightning, reigning Stanley Cup champions. They got a little bit down on that. There's been no exhibition games. They've got tons of new faces. They're without a lot of their supporting cast. So they're going to need some time to get in their groove. The question was, are we going to see them get better? Yes, I do think that they're going to get better. They're going to gel. They're going to get in sync. They're not going to be a very good team this year, but they are going to get better, and we are going to see positives. And they're going to work out some of the kinks. So let's before we're too critical, let's give it more than just 3 games.
Greg?
Can they get better? I don't know. It depends what you mean by better. Are they going to win a lot of games this year? Probably not. Will the compete level and competitiveness get better? You hope so. You really do. I mean, Gail, you just said it. Injuries, new faces, no exhibition games to kind of work out the kinks. Okay, that's
everybody has that. I
exactly. It's valid though. It's valid, but everybody else is dealing with the same thing too. Well, the biggest issue is like it's the starts of these games. They just don't know. There's just no jump to their step. There's no intensity. There's just there's no discipline. It's the same thing we've seen the last 2 seasons at the start of the year when Colleton comes in. That's what worries me. Nothing looks like it's changed. Yes, new faces, new whatever, but it's the same. We had this problem last year, and then all of a sudden it was magically fixed. So what is it about starting with under Colleton that they just can't seem to get their act together? They have to improve because it's pretty awful right now. So yeah, I think they'll improve. They'll be closer in games, and but we knew this team was going to struggle. I don't think any of us thought it'd be this bad, but 3 games. Hopefully they can get back to sort of that team we saw against Vegas, where the talent gap is there and they probably shouldn't win, but at least be competitive, make it interesting, make it show like you give a damn about the results. Because right now there's a lot of guys that I wonder if they even care at this point, and it's 3 games into the season. That's a bad sign. But hopefully, they get a couple more games under their belts, they get a few more practices, things start to work out, and maybe things get better. But it could be a slippery slope to a really terrible season.
I agree with that completely. I agree with the notion that it's different like when you lose, but if you're like playing hard, competing, trying, that kind of means more to fans than anything really. We just want to see something. But when it's like completely flat and no energy and nothing, then it's like, okay, now we're losing, and now it seems like we're kind of mentally losing too, which is almost worse than if we were losing but being fun at least and competitive. But it's just not like that. I honestly don't see us getting better than this, to be honest. I mean, I get what you guys are saying about obviously we will win at some point. I don't think we're going to go 0-56, but in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And they have stretches where they play really well, and that's the problem. They can play to their greatest, and it's still not good enough to beat these good teams. So that's kind of my concern going forward. But I don't think it's their fault. They just don't have the talent to beat someone like Tampa. But I am hoping for more even matchups against other teams like the Panthers and Detroit, even though that was not a good matchup last night. But you guys know what I'm trying to say. Tampa, that's going to be, it seems like a wash, but maybe hopefully we'll see better matchups. But other than that, I don't know how this is going to get better, but maybe like what you said, Sean, can it get worse? I don't even know. So
you can deal with good teams beating you, but it's beating yourself. That it's not acceptable. You get beat by a defending champion because they're just better than you. That's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
But shooting yourself in the foot 8 times a night, you can't have that. That's the worrisome part. So hopefully if they can correct that, then it'll at least be fun bad. Be fun bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Be bad, be fun bad.
3 games
and we
in.
have veterans too.
That's what 3 games in.
I know.
They already don't care. That's the scary part. Show us you care.
Okay.
They're gonna win 12-0 tomorrow, and we're all gonna be like, boy, did we look stupid.
Yes, hopefully our ranting will get them in the right headspace. But let's get into injuries. Obviously, our injuries are extensive, but not surprising because we got Kirby on the IR with his broken wrist, and we got Jonathan Toews on the IR with his health issue, and then we got Seabrook is back on the IR, which seems to be his new home. Unfortunately, he tweaked his lower back, and I'm gonna start with you, Greg, on this one. Do you think that maybe we have seen the last of Seabrook?
I think it's a really good possibility. I kind of half jokingly last year when they announced his 62 surgeries or whatever he had last year, I kind of joked like this is what it's going to be. This is how they're going to host him, so to speak. They're going to every year at the start of the season, they're going to find a new body part that he needs to have surgery on until his contract runs out. I was kind of half joking, but I think I might be right. So
might be onto something.
You know what? To be honest, the Seabrook gets a rough ride. Social media. I've criticized him a lot myself. I'm guilty of it. But the dude has been a invaluable piece of the greatest era of this team's hockey. So it's tough to see somebody who's so good go this way. But at some point, he's got to figure out if it's worth it. It's his body's clearly trying to tell him that maybe you shouldn't do this anymore. So when the brain and the body catches up, maybe it's time to, kind of like Corey Crawford, you kind of just got to do what's best for yourself. But these are a different breed of cat. These guys are so competitive and so team oriented. But I think all those years of hard playoff hockey are catching up, and it's just I would be very surprised at this point if we see number 7 back on the ice playing again.
It is tough. It's a tough situation because, like you said, he is such an invaluable piece of our team. But if this was the last we saw of him, I wouldn't blame him. I don't think there's any shame in that. He's had a tremendous career. He's won Stanley Cups. Unfortunately, that's a big loss for us and for him, obviously. If this is how it's going to go down, then that's a really crappy way to have to go out. But my other issue, besides the injury, is when I think we're all supposing he's going to come back hypothetically, but if he does, I have no clue where he fits in here, to be honest with you. I don't know whose spot he's going to take, but obviously it's going to be probably anyone's to fit him in because he is Seabrook and you can't just replace him. But I wonder about that too. Besides injuries, I wonder where he fits in and if that's going to change anything on this team. But I agree with you. He is an invaluable part of our team, and it sucks that this is how it's come to right now. Shaun, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you right off the top as far as him being an invaluable part of this team and this franchise for years and years. I just think that, unfortunately, I do think that this is the last we've seen of him in Chicago. It sort of started to feel that way when things started to go downhill for him. Even last year, the reports he was recovering well, which is great to hear. Might come back for the postseason, but didn't. After an odd off season, again, seemed we might see him back, and now he's still sidelined. So the roller coaster ride with Seabrook and sort of what's been going on with him has been obviously challenging for us as fans, but I can only imagine and empathize even more challenging for him as an athlete. And like Greg said, who wants to get in there and compete. So I'm sure he wants to be out there. I'm sure the franchise wants him to be playing for as much as they're paying him to be there in the first place. But all in all, obviously not good signs all around. And it certainly does feel like his time with the organization is coming to an end. But for, anything that is plaguing Seabrook, I hope he's okay and wish him the best.
Very well said. Gail, what do you think? Is this the last we've seen of Seabrook?
Well, you know what? I think that right now the Blackhawks could really use somebody like Seabrook to boost their morale. He is the guy that always puts his arm around Taze or gives a pep talk to one of the young kids. Lets Doc live in his house. Could he be a coach? Could he be assistant? I don't know. I also don't see where he could fit on the ice, but I think in the locker room, they could really use him this year. Could they hide him on the taxi squad? Could they put him there and, just have him play like 2 games or something? And then he can travel with the team and be the cheerleader. I don't know if that's what he wants to do, but maybe that's an option when he gets a little healthier.
Yeah, you took a thought I had out of it with having him just for morale purposes, because he is known as being someone that the team just loves and that he is like the biggest support for everyone there. And maybe having him there, even if it's just in the locker room, would help maybe get this team kind of going, because he seems like he'd be the right person to do that. And heck, that'd be entertaining for us fans. And I would take him as a coach in a heartbeat right now, honestly.
Well, with Hayes out too, I mean, it's just they're like a rudderless ship at this point. I mean, I know that there's Kane and Murphy seems to be stepping up and all that, but
they look lost.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Swap out Colleton for Seabrook. Seabrook's older.
Yeah, exactly.
Seabrook's actually accomplished something in the NHL. Let's make that switch. Can't get any worse.
Yes. Yes, that totally needs to happen. So now we have to talk about the Blackhawks first line. So it was supposed to be Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Strome, and Patrick Kane. That was the big talk of training camp. And then when it debuted on the first game against Tampa, they were pretty much invisible together. And Coach Colleton has had them split up ever since the first game. And I'm going to ask you guys, are you okay with splitting up this line? Or do you think they need to stay together going forward, Gail?
All right. Well, I'm already on record saying that I don't really like this line too much. I think that they give up too much defensively, and like you had said, they're not really putting it together offensively. Granted, if they're kept together a little bit longer, that could happen. But again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, spread out the wealth. Experiment. This is your time to experiment. So to me, I just love the fact that they actually did put Suter in the middle and move Strome down. I think that's great. And let's face it, Kane and Suter have looks like they might have some chemistry going on. So kudos to Colleton for at least doing that. And, you know, it's my pet peeve. I just think, what the heck is going on with Kubalik? Why are they not playing him? Why are they, maybe they're trying to make him a playmaker on his own. Maybe they're trying to make him be the guy. You know what? You don't need Taves. You don't need Kane. You're the guy, and you should lead your line, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that'll eventually happen. Maybe we don't know what's going on, but I still would like to see him up on that top line and let them run wild. So I don't think that line needs to be together.
Shaun?
Yeah, so I had the opposite opinion coming into the season to Gail. I like that line. I like that line on paper, but unfortunately, as we know in sports all too well, when it looks good on paper, it doesn't mean it's going to translate when you put it together in real life. I mean, I'm never opposed to loading up a line in any capacity, but if it's not working, you change it up. So, you know, am I okay with splitting up the line? Absolutely. To me, it makes sense that the Hawks started this way. Again, I was in favor of it, but you know, these are the stars that they needed to lead the way and to sort of ramp things up, but they weren't doing it. So change it up. No problem there. Clearly, they weren't getting it done. You know, it's not working. You got to change it regardless of who's involved. I don't care if Doc or Taves were even in that lineup or Seabrook as well. You move them around. And this is the year to get creative. This is the year to just do things on the fly and try new things and see where there is cohesion. So if there's ever going to be a year where you should be making these split-second decisions and not really caring too much about the repercussions, now's the time. Put these players wherever you can put them. Try to see what does gel. Let these new kids have new opportunities and just see what's working and what's clicking. And then you stick with that and you build from there.
Agreed. Greg?
The biggest problem the Hawks have right now is they have 5 players for their top 6 roles. So no matter what combination they kind of do, there's one spot on your second or first line, whatever you want to label them, that's kind of like, well, who do you put there? I don't know. I mean, Gail, you hit the nail on the head with Kubalik. What are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing? 11 minutes in the first game. He's barely getting any power play time. You got Andrew Shaw in the first power play unit, which is fine, but you got him playing on the blue line. What are you doing? Like, if you got Andrew Shaw playing on the power play, he should be in front of the net. That's his thing. So why isn't Kubalik in that position as a shooter? As far as I'm getting off track. First line, Strome and Brinkett, I think, should stick together. They've got a natural chemistry they've had since juniors. They work well together. Stick them together. And maybe, I mean, second line, first line, that's, to me, as I said before, it's just a number. It doesn't matter to me. It does, like, you can call it what you want. Strome and Brinkett should be together. Maybe Kane and Suter, they had a nice play the other night until somebody got in a little too early. But they look like that could work. So what I would do is I would put Suter in between Kubalik and Kane. See what happens. Let it roll. Keep the Brinkett and Strome together. But who do you put on their right side? I don't know. Who cares at this point? Like, find somebody. Rotate it out. Put in a guy, you know, anybody. Put it, let Shaw, fine. Whatever. See what, maybe put Matthew Highmore up there. He can crash in it and bring a little energy, which they lack. You know, maybe that changes when Soderberg comes back, and then you got another real center, and you can mix it up a little better. And maybe you put Soderberg in between, and then you have Suter can go back to, I don't know. But
there's options.
There is, and play with it. Do something. I mean, you to go one night and then the next with no changes this early in the season while you're trying to figure out, that made no sense to me. You've got your options. You've got your taxi squad. You've got guys at your disposal. Keep throwing stuff against the wall so something sticks and roll with it. Give the hot hand the chance. Who cares at this point? Like, you're not Stanley Cup championship material. Figure out what you got. Carleton knows he's going to be here for 2 more years. It's time to figure out who's going to be here for the next 2 years and who's just filling up a roster spot.
Agreed. Your answer reminds me of that SNL skit where they're like, who cares? So what? That's how we feel about the first line, obviously, or maybe the rest of the lines even. It's kind of weird. You guys made me think that the real wild card here is Kane. Because like you said, we could put DeBrincat and Strome together, but who's going to be with Kane? Who is going to be that playmaker next to him? And my thing is, I actually really did like that line of Strome, DeBrincat and Kane. I thought that was honestly the best or most dominant that we can do. But then after seeing them and how invisible it turned out, it makes me realize I'm okay with spreading the depth down the lineup, especially since our offense is now going to be our Achilles heel going forward. And I think that's fine. But I agree with Gail and Greg about Kubalik. I would definitely put him with Kane. I don't know why he isn't. Like you guys said, we don't even know what's going on. They don't have a game plan. We don't know. But and I also wouldn't mind Soderberg on with Kane either. He's a veteran like Kane is. Maybe they could feed off each other. But I also do like Suter on that line right now. So yeah, maybe one of these days if Suter, I don't know, just feels like he could be paired with someone else, I wouldn't mind seeing a Soderberg, Kane, Kubalik line either. But like you guys said, we have options. Hopefully with Suter or Soderberg, it could be positive, but I don't know. Like we said, who cares? So what? But all right. So next we're going to talk about positive and negative. I mean, we can kind of sit here and be really negative because honestly, it's deserved. Let us vent.
Makes us all feel better.
Yeah, exactly. It's making us feel better. It's group therapy. Blackhawk fans, we feel you. We're angry. We want to cry, maybe laugh. I don't know because it's so bad. But let's try to channel our inner Gail and maybe take some positives from this team, even if it's hard. So I'm going to ask you guys to name one thing positive and one thing negative about this team. Greg, I'm going to start with you.
All right, I'll go positive. Obviously, I think the most positive thing we've seen 3 games is Alex DeBrincat and the fact that he's scoring and being very noticeable on the ice. That's huge. We've talked about that plenty of times. I probably stole Sean's answer. Sorry. I'll let you. That's your guy. But the Hawks need him. He is very important to the future of this team and whether or not they're ever going to open up another championship window. So that's my positive. He's been good. He's been very effective on the power play. We need that. Negatives, man, there's so much to pick from. I'm just gonna go through just the general no structure play they've got right now. It just seems that on defense, they're just skating wherever the heck they want to skate. There's no structure, there's no discipline. It's just, it looks like if you've ever played like one of the NHL video games and you drop your controller and it's stuck and your guy just goes anywhere. This is what we're watching in real life. They got to get some structure. So I'll leave it at that. We can fill up 3 hours of negative just on my rants alone if you let me. So I yield the floor.
Yeah, guys, next week is going to be about Greg ranting for 3 hours. Come join. It'll be fun.
No one's going to want to watch that. Trust me.
Sean, how about you? Positive and negative?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Greg. You didn't take my answer on this one,
right.
Because obviously he's going to be the standout. So, he's not a surprise positive. But my positive is going to be Suter. Suter showcased a skill here. Translating his game over from Europe into North America, coming back to the side of the pond has been nice to see. I know his stat line doesn't suggest that. Obviously, he's a -6. He only has 1 assist. That does not tell the whole story. He already has 8 shots on net. He's right at the top of the team lead in that category, and that's a great sign to see. I mean, obviously he's trying to make chances. He's trying to produce, and he will if he keeps that up. As Greg mentioned and alluded to earlier, he had a great play with Kane. Obviously, the goal got called back, for an obvious offside. But that chemistry and that ability to create and that confidence to get in there and make that kind of a move was nice to see. I mean, this is someone who's new in the league, and he's already looking like he belongs. So my biggest positive is that we're seeing that kind of translation of his game already. So I look forward to seeing what else he'll do. As far as a negative, Greg, I got to say that's a great analogy as far as the video game goes, because I wish I could have rage quitted out of all 3 of those games. Those were terrible. As far as everything that's going wrong, it's everything. Brooke, you told us to pick one, probably because we're on a time constraint here. So I'm going to say what probably we're all thinking and we'll all say, which is team defense. Obviously allowing 15 goals in the first 3 games is worse than even I expected in that regard. I know we have 2 unproven goalies, but 5 goals a game is bad. And it's not all on the goalies. And some people have sort of come at me thinking that that's what I'm saying. And that's not what I'm saying. I am a goalie. I back goalies up. The reality, though, is that's just not enough. And they haven't shown confidence. They haven't shown poise, and they have to. They're going to let in goals. They're going to get a lot of shots on net, but they have to be a little more comfortable and a little more confident when they're back there. And they have to make at least some saves. And they're just not. But the reality is defensively, the defensive structures, they're sluggish, they're slow, they're just not into it. And as a collective unit, they're just not getting it done. So, I had suggested getting Lankin in the net for game 3. Again, that wasn't a punishment of Subban or Delia. It was just to say, try it out. Let the kid have some time to play and see if we can turn what's not going well into a positive. So that's my takeaway there. Team defense is just brutal right now.
It is. And honestly, I'm going to start with negative because you guys made me think of something. Like, negatively, we are a victim. We have been victimized by having to sit through these games. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like we could have had those games back. Honestly, the hours that we lost watching that monstrosity. But the negative I will say about that is just their consistency issues again. Like, that's the issue. They start out in that first period and they seem like they might be like finally finding a groove, but then they never take advantage when they are playing sort of well. They don't score. They're not doing anything to make it count. And then they come out in the second and third and then just completely crumble. Like, we knew that consistency was going to be an issue again because, like you guys said, the structure is who knows, and there's probably in their mind, everyone's confused. No one knows what they're supposed to be doing, and it's not effective. So I'm going to say negative is consistency, and I don't see that getting any better unless there's a complete overhaul of the system. And a positive I'm going to say is the penalty kill. I've actually really kind of liked our penalty kill and our power play for that matter. It seems better than last year. I mean, we had 3 power play goals in all. Yeah. With all 3 games combined, we had a power play goal, which is really awesome because we went through long stretches without one. So I'm going to say, I guess that's 2 things, but you guys know what I mean. Special teams, not mad about. Gail, what about you?
All right, I'm going to say that my positive is I really like the fact that they are playing the kids and that this is going to be a theme. And this is the whole idea is a rebuild. So, they've got Suter and Mitchell that they played, the P.S. Suter, Ian Mitchell, the defenseman that they've played for the 3 games. And then you have Philip Kurashev that has also played for the last 2 games. So I like this. I like that they're, sticking to what they're saying that their game plan is. And I guess my biggest negative would be I'm worried about the culture right now with the Blackhawks. I think that they just look really deflated. They really need a win. I don't know if you guys watched the post game and they're interviewing Alex DeBrincat, and he just, you're supposed to put on a little bit of a show here for and he, so I'm worried about their culture, and I hope that they can somehow pick themselves up.
Yeah, that's true, because that was the one thing we were supposed to have that not a lot of teams have, was a winning culture. And that's something that this team has prided itself on, and then it seems like that's completely gone, and that's what's really frustrating. Because we do have those championship players on our team still with Kane and Keith, even though it's 2 of them right now because of the injuries, but still you should have some sort of pride or effort, and that's really frustrating. But so the next one, for a more positive, sorry guys, we're really trying hard to be positive, and it's really hard, so just let us get our negativity out for this show. And I know you Hawks fans feel that with us, so but even though we've only watched 3 games, players stand out to us, whether it's positively or negatively. So let's try to up the spirits. I'm going to ask you guys to name 1 player that has stood out to you so far, and we're going to start with Gail.
Okay, so again, I mentioned him in the last question. I'm going to go with defenseman Ian Mitchell. He has played all 3 games, and you haven't really heard a whole lot about him for the most part because he's not standing out in a negative way. He is playing pretty solid. He looks confident and composed, especially for just being around for 3 games. NHL debut. He's playing with Calvin DeHaan mostly as his partner. And I think you can tell that the veteran DeHaan really does kind of not defer to him, but he trusts him. And, he's not babysitting him, and he's not sheltering him really in any way. He's letting him play, and they seem to make a pretty good pairing right now. And so I'm really impressed with the way that he's come onto the scene, and hopefully he can keep it up.
I agree. He kind of, like, DeHaan and him both kind of have that Hjalmarsson effect. Gail, I did that just for you. they because they're not really flashy, but they can get the job done. And like you said, Ian Mitchell can get the job done. It is impressive what he's been able to do in 3 games as a rookie. Greg, what do you think? Who's a standout player for you?
In our preview post, I had originally also said Ian Mitchell for many of the same reasons Gail just mentioned. He's been a real pleasant surprise. He's played real well. So I'm going to change my answer since we don't need to repeat. Unfortunately, I'm going to mention this player because he's standing out for the wrong reasons. Adam Beauquist has been standing out because he's been bad, like really, really bad, and it's not good that he's that this bad. We've got a major problem here, and I am not calling Adam Beauquist a bust. I'm not saying he's going to be bad his whole career. He's 20 years old. He's played 44 NHL games. He is playing in a defensive system that he doesn't understand and is probably never going to understand. You got veterans that still do. Switch the damn system already. I'm so tired of this man-to-man garbage, but he wants to be the smartest man in the room and prove to everybody that he's right. Stop. Good coaches put their players in positions to succeed. He is putting their hopefully future cornerstone defenseman, or at least the guy they need to be, in a position to fail repeatedly, night after night after night. Enough. I really think Beauquist needs to get sent down and play in the AHL again. He got called up too soon last year. When the AHL gets going, get Bodine back down there. If Bodine's just going to be here for the practice to taxi scout, what's the point? These guys need to play. They need to gain confidence. I watched Beauquist in Rockford all last season, and he really progressed well and was playing good. He played with confidence, and that allowed him to be better offensively and defensively. He's playing with no confidence right now. He's lost. He's timid. He's afraid. Anybody in an opposing jersey gets anywhere within 5 feet of him, he's shrinking away. You can't play hockey like that. He needs a restart. He needs a refresh. This ain't going to work away now. And it's okay to play a year or two in the AHL. We just talked about Nicholas Jarmelson. He played over 100 AHL games before he made it to the pros. A guy like Erik Karlsson spent a couple of seasons, spent some time in the AHL. It happens.
Even Duncan Keith, didn't he?
What's that?
Even Duncan Keith?
Maybe not. Yeah, he did. He did a little bit. But it happens. He needs to get his confidence back. I'm all for playing kids and let them see what they could do at the NHL level. It's not working, and the worst thing you want to do is destroy somebody that talented's confidence. And it's not working in Jeremy Collinson's system, and I don't see how it's going to unless he simplifies it. He can't play this style of hockey, so build the system around what you have as opposed to trying to make the players fit your system. So that's what stood out for me most. But Ian Mitchell, yay. I could be positive.
That whole rant, I bow down to you.
Oh, I've cut myself short. I'm surprised I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet.
I agree. I mean, like you said, we want Beauquist to succeed, and it is sad that he's put in a system where he can't fully thrive yet. And it's not even about him really, because no one knows what the heck they're doing in this system. And it's sad because, like you said, it does shatter someone's confidence when you're put in a position to fail. And I don't think there's any shame in sending him down to Rockford. Give him full-time minutes, let him get his groove back, and then have him come back up. Because like we said before, defensemen usually have a longer development time, which is fine. And we want him to succeed, and that's probably the best option for him. And I still have high hopes for him, but like you said, it's not really about him. It's about the system, and we need to get this freaking system out of our way. It's a roadblock. Shaun?
Yeah, I mean, leave it to the boys here to mess with the plan, because I'm going to do exactly what Greg did. I had said Suter for this piece, but him being my positive, I figured I'd change it up a little bit. And then I was going to say Beauquist for the wrong reasons, but Greg took that too. So I'm going to move on and actually go with something else Greg had alluded to and say Alex DeBrincat. To me, he's going to stand out. He's I'm going to sound biased because obviously I predicted him to do big things this year, but he's already proving that he can. I know we're only 3 games in. I understand his pace shouldn't be looked at too seriously just yet. But his presence is hard to ignore when he's out there, and that's a great sign. He has a level of speed and skill when he's on the ice, and perhaps that's in comparison to the fact that nobody else does around him from his own team. But needless to say, it's obvious when he gets out there. He looks good, he looks exciting, and he looks like he wants to play, and that's awesome. That's what we want to see from him. We all know he had a tough 19-20 season. He didn't put points up like he did the year before, but he's sort of broken through that, and he's persevered, and he's already starting to put points on the board, which is great. It means it didn't scare him off from a tough year last year. And again, those are positives. That means that he's not letting that get to him in his young career, and he's going to break through that, and we're already seeing him produce at a better pace. So he's right back to in-game form. He isn't shying away from creating. The results are already coming, and these are all great signs. So to me, he's going to be the standout for the right reasons. Alex didn't make it.
Yes, and I think that's probably a big reason why our power play has been able to score a goal in each game so far, is because he seems to have better puck luck this year. Like we said, it wasn't his fault last year, just nothing would go in for him, and now it seems like it's starting to click for him again, and that's really good for us, and it's really good for him too. We need that.
I thought that right away when he scored that one-timer last game. It was nice to see. It was almost refreshing as a fan to be like, oh, thank God it actually went in the net. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm going to say that a player that has stood out to me so far is Andrew Shaw. And this might be kind of a weird pick, but to me, he has stood out positively. I think he was kind of the wild card going into this year because he came off of a bad concussion, and we didn't know if he'd be able to play at the level that we need him to be at. And when he's at the level we need him to be at, it's great. He's the gadget player that we need. He's been really good on the penalty kill. He's done a really good job of being able to kind of limit chances, and that's what we need from him. And also, he's 66% in faceoffs. So I'm going to say him. I hope he's able to keep this up because Andrew Shaw is one of my favorite players, and we all love it when he's on. And so I'm going to say him, and hopefully that if he keeps doing his thing, it'll kind of help the team too going forward. But I agree with all of your picks too, negative and positive.
And I think instead of taking penalties, he's been drawing some penalties too, right?
Oh yeah, he has
mentioned that.
Yeah, he has. See, with over the years, he's gotten really mature.
Give it time.
Yeah, we already know that Sean is not a big Shaw fan. Or I'm sorry,
I know.
Greg, a big Shaw fan.
Yeah, sorry about that, Greg.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, if he keeps doing this, I'll join his fan club, but I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's kind of how all of us are with the team right now, right? It's just like, okay, what else can go wrong, honestly?
They keep losing, the frustration is going to build, and he's going to do something extremely stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. So our final topic tonight is obviously the week ahead. The Hawks' upcoming games are the Panthers again on Tuesday and Detroit on Friday and Sunday. So, guys, give me your take or predictions on how these matchups will go. Tell me everything, Sean.
Shockingly, like the rest of us, I have no idea what to expect from this team, to be completely honest. But for the sake of a prediction, based on what we've seen, I don't expect much. So, a successful scenario to me at this point would be that they'd split these series coming up, and that they'd get at least a couple wins. So if they've split the series between Florida, and they do the same against Detroit. Perhaps they'll find a way to get their first win on Tuesday. I don't know. I'm hoping that that's the case. So again, for the sake of a prediction, I'm going to say they win Tuesday. And then I'm thinking they're going to share losses with the Red Wings over the weekend. I know this is high praise for a team that hasn't really earned much of it, but I do think they'll get one win against the Red Wings. Maybe the rivalry will spark a little bit more fire out of them. We can hope as fans that that's what happens. So I'm going to say they get the win on Tuesday, and they get one of either Friday or Sunday. If I had to predict, I'd probably say Sunday. So win Tuesday, loss Friday, win Sunday. So, two of the next three, and we'll head into a bit of a winning scenario moving forward here. Still won't be 500, but it'll be much better. Beauquist needs to play less. Kubalik deserves more ice time, and Lankinen has to get in, and maybe we'll see some of those results.
Yes, progress, not perfection. That's it. That's all we want. Gail, how about you?
All right, I'm pretty much the same as Sean. I think that they're going to pull out a win against the Panthers. They're going to split with Detroit. I think a couple of us are actually maybe doing a watch party on Friday with the Detroit game. So fingers crossed that they can at least look good in the first period, so that we can have something to cheer about. So yeah, for 6 games, maybe 2 and 4, maybe they can get an overtime loss in there somewhere, be 2, 3, and 1. And okay, real quick prediction. I think that we're going to see Lucas Carlson. We're going to see Lucas Carlson, defenseman Lucas Carlson, in the mix at some point in his next 3 games. Hot take.
I can see it. Greg, how about you?
All right, if we're doing hot take predictions, my hot take prediction is they will not give up 5 goals one time this week.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, baby steps.
That's the plan.
Only give up 4 goals tomorrow. That's a progression.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so tough to predict right now. We've heard ever since this division was put together, thank God the Red Wings are in our division. Thank God the Red Wings are in our divisions. I'd rather be the Red Wings right now than the Blackhawks. They've actually won a game. They've led in a game. They've led in all 3 of their games, I think, or at least 2 of the 3. That must be fun. So they're not pushovers. They're playing hard. They've been competitive. They've got some good young talent over there and some good veterans too. So they are far from the pushovers everybody thought they were going to be. So I don't know. I'm going to say they're going to win 1 out of the 3 games this week. I don't know which one. I'm going to go with 1. Maybe they get a point in an overtime loss in another one. Maybe tomorrow they go to overtime with the Panthers and lose in a shootout because they never win shootouts. And then they progress to that win over the weekend.
They're not going to win any shootouts without Taves.
Well, wait, we don't have Robert and Leonard anymore, so maybe these goalies will be good at a shootout. maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe
Let's get
Malcolm
to a shootout and see
is like this great shutdown.
Right. Maybe he's the greatest shootout goaltender of all time. He's just never had his chance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Only one way to find out. Let's make it happen.
Yes, put the best and see what can happen. Put them in a situation. The world's upside down. Hey, it might work. I don't know.
All right. So my overall prediction is we're slightly less mad when we get back together next Monday.
Honestly, I don't even think I can predict anything because so far the past 3 games I tried to have positive predictions like, oh, they can win. They can do, and then they keep wasting it, and 3 games in I'm already over that. So I'm not going to do that. Huh?
What, they're going to lose.
Yeah, so they're going to lose.
Like Greg was saying, yeah.
I feel like, honestly, I was confident that they could beat Florida yesterday, and I still think they could. They don't scare me that much, and they should be able to. So I feel like if they should be able to get a win out of this stretch, it should be against the Panthers, I do think. So if they can pull one out tomorrow, that's better than nothing, and I feel like they should be able to do it. And Detroit, I don't know. They're interesting to me. I think they could give us a run for our money, but like I said, hopefully if we don't do well, just at least make it entertaining for us. Do something that's entertaining. I don't even care what it is, but I hope that maybe next week or going into this week, we might have more exciting things to talk about, even if it's not really wins. Hopefully we have, something exciting happened. Maybe Suter scored his first goal. I don't know, just something. We need something here. We're like dying. But that's it for tonight's Blackhawks Banter. Make sure that you follow, and subscribe because we meet every Monday at 7 p.m. Central to discuss everything related to the team here on the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. And be sure to find us on thehockeywriters.com. All of our social media is linked in our author pages on the Hockey Writers, so you can find us there. And thank you again, Gail, Greg, and Shaun, for venting and ranting with me. And hopefully we'll have a better week ahead. And I guess we'll leave this with Go Hawks, hopefully.
Here's to a win.
Woohoo! Yeah, okay.